Sorry, someone just walked in as soon as I hit live, of course. That's how life goes, right? That's how you know this is a live video. Something's gonna get knocked over, fall, etc. Anywho, for anyone watching this later on replay, this is a live video. The whole point of this is for me to be able to chit chat with people, answer questions, etc. in a live setting. So it's going to be longer than a normal tutorial. There's going to be a lot more talking. And if that's not your kind of video, feel free to not watch. I've got lots of videos that are just plain straight up tutorials. For everyone else, please say hi in the chat box or down below if you're watching this later on. And let me know where you're tuning in from. And as you can see, today we are going to do some resin dominoes. So I will adjust the camera as needed to help you guys be able to see better. Actually, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just raise it up a little. There we go. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Susan. Okay. So I had an idea. And yeah, we're gonna do this. Let me get this pulled up on my computer first. It's been a long time since I did dominoes. So I was like, you know what? Today's the day. And right. There we go. Got this pulled up so I can see you guys. And we might do other projects other than dominoes. I just know I'm going to do at least a couple sets of dominoes because it has been a long time. I was realizing that today. And yeah, there we go. Okay, I see you all. Hey. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Sophia. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Jody. Hey, Ann. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start off with cleaning these a little bit because sometimes these little pieces get left over. And one of the best things to handle like leftover pieces on the top here is actually a lint roller or tape if you don't have one, but a lint roller works great. I don't have a lint roller right now, so I'm going to use a little bit of tape. And that'll just help get some of this excess off. You don't necessarily have to take all of this off, but it can sometimes help because sometimes the little pieces can fall into your mold and then get into your project when you don't want it in there. So just getting a little extra off there. And again, a lint roller works fantastic. Hey, Starla. This is double-sided sticky tape. So I'm going to use both sides. Let's be economical here. And then if any pieces did fall in, you just have to grab them out like these little guys. Or you can shake it out. That'll usually get it all out too. Now on this one especially, it's dusty. I have not used this in a little while. So I'm going to actually clean that with some isopropyl alcohol. You can also take a little bit of tape and get in there if there's some littler pieces. I normally take much better care of my molds, but again, it's been a while since I've used these, so they got a little dusty, dirty. How's everyone doing so far this week? Hopefully having a great week. Oh, just getting a little bit of dust out of here. A little hard around all those dots. And depending on what you're doing, you might not even have to worry about this. Like if you're just going to put a bunch of color in here, you don't necessarily have to worry. But if you're going for something a little more clear or white, you want to make sure that they don't have a bunch of dust in them. Okay. It's mainly that one. I'm actually not worried about this one. This one's pretty clean. So again, I'm going to shake out any excess particles. Here we go. Okay, so for one of these, Doing pretty good? Awesome. For one of these, I am going to do the same chameleon powder that I have been using. Now, I have to tell you guys, I am super sorry. I promised to post photos of the chameleon projects I did last week, and I completely forgot. So I pinky swear that right after this video, I will post the photos of all the projects from last week on my YouTube channel so you guys can see them completed. I actually don't have them here. I already took them to my office, but they are gorgeous. Just trust me. So I promise, pinky swear, I'll post that video, post the photos after. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that long weekend also. All right, so, aw, thank you, Gray. Appreciate that. Gray Jedi. So, or is it? It's probably Serena, I assume, but anywho. I'm going to use the chameleon powder in here. So I'm going to brush it on the whole thing, and you always want to do that before you mix up your resin because it's going to take a while. And yes, I sell the domino sets, absolutely. So if you ever see anything you like, you could message me. I don't have any currently available because, like I said, it's been a while since I made them. But you can see a bunch of pieces that are available on my website, mixedmediagirl.com. I've got a bunch of the little trinket bowls and coasters and things like that. Okay, let me just adjust the camera a little bit so that you guys can see better into here. And I will be using the TLP Stuck Up Pigs Hoity Toity again because this color is gorgeous. And then the other set, I'm going to do some alcohol inks. I had a first the other day, by the way, guys. Hey, Deb. I spilled a half a cup of resin, like 4 to 5 ounces. And I've literally never done that before. And you guys, I almost cried. Actually, I did cry a little bit, I think. That was painful. Again, I've never done that before. So there's a first time for everything. I'm actually kind of amazed that I made it this far without ever spilling resin. I've spilled a lot of paint. Aw, thank you so much. But that was my first time spilling resin, and now it's kind of all over my floor, but that's okay. When I moved into this place, I specifically asked that they did not finish the floors so that I could make a mess. All right, there we go. Can everyone see that okay? I can probably zoom in just a little bit more. Zooming's a little hard on here. There we go. Actually, that's pretty good. How's that, guys? Let's go up a little more again. So you can see down into the coasters. Okay, let's try that. And then the next set, I'll just leave it in the same spot. Okay, great. All right, so because I obviously can't really fit a paintbrush into this one unless I want to use a tiny paintbrush, I put a little bit into this cup. Don't overdo it because it's hard to get it back in this container, but I'm just going to put a little bit and then I'll add more if needed. Get some stuff out of the way over here. Hey, Renee. Hey, Angela from North Carolina. All right, and then I'm going to just dip the brush in here and away we go. And I'm going to try to cover everything, including the sides here, because we're going to fill these in all the way with the resin. So again, hopefully you see why you need to do this before you mix up your resin, because it's going to take a while, especially if you do multiple colors, which I've done before. And if you use a big brush like this, it should go pretty quickly. Don't overdo it. You don't want a bunch of excess powder in there. And I actually got a little bit of extra powder in some of these, so I'm going to spread it out. Make sure you get all the way into the corners. Hey, Cindy. Anyone here from Texas? Also, make sure your mold is dry before you do this. Don't do this on a mold that you just like sprayed with water or whatever. I probably could have waited a little bit longer with that alcohol, but it does evaporate pretty quick, and I wiped most of it out. You're from Texas? Awesome. I will be finally coming back to Seguin in October for a really fun class at RK3. And then again in Dallas in March. So I'm going to have those up on the calendar really soon. Arkansas, okay. Relatively close there. Closer than California. Now, this color, so far, it's my favorite with the black resin. And the resin itself is not black. It's a black dye in the resin. But you could do it with clear. Especially here, since we're doing just the one color, there's not going to be a difference. Basically, you don't want to be able to tell the dominoes apart if you want to actually play. If you don't care about playing and you're just doing them for decoration, do them however you want. But otherwise, you want the backs to be pretty uniform. So for this, because we're doing it all the same color, you could use clear, you could use black, you could use, honestly, any color really. I have to play around with this a little bit more, and I might, at the end of this video, do another set of coasters with some white. Because that's something I haven't done yet. But for these dominoes, I think I'm going to do black because so far that's my favorite. Seguin's 250 miles. Okay, that's not too bad. Like a little bit more than like from here to San Diego. Probably about 3 hours, I guess. 4 hours maybe. Well, definitely worth it if you can make it, I will say. All right, we're almost there. Trying to go fast, but also trying to make sure I get every little spot. Another thing you can do, but it takes a little bit more of the mica, and I'm not sure, I don't think it would look quite as cool, but it would still look cool, is you could mix this directly into the resin instead of brushing it on like I'm doing here. So if you were doing that, I would definitely mix it into some clear resin so that that color would really pop. But that's just another option. I'm in Los Angeles. So, but hopefully, I'm trying to work out some more classes around the US. It's hard to find locations, and honestly, with selling the products that I'm selling right now, it's not easy to go away from here for now. So I'll let you guys in on a little secret. We're gonna do a big sale again. It's actually not a Labor Day sale, surprisingly, but we're going to sell out of our current inventory again to do some reevaluations and potentially move the product business aspect to another state. So don't ask me too many questions right now because I don't have enough info to really share. But if you guys are interested, you guys can take 15% off site-wide with code CLOSEOUT, all one word. So I appreciate you guys being here with me on this live. So I thought I'd just let you in on that. It hasn't been really publicly announced yet, like it's not on Facebook or anything. But I know not 7 million people watch these live videos, so therefore, it's kind of just announcing it intimately to you guys. All right, here we go. Your mold was just delivered this last week? Nice. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to flip it around because I see some spots on the other side that I did not get very well. So I'm going to just make sure I get all of those. Where are you at? Oh, totally missed the spot over here. Hey, Susan. Suzanne. Appreciate you so much, by the way, Suzanne. I always like seeing when you pop up in here or pop up in my email. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna shake out any excess. And now we are good to go. Look how pretty. You can already tell how gorgeous those are gonna be. Look at that. Oh, I wish it showed better through the camera, because in real life these just look amazing. All right, but hopefully you could see that in the different lights. So I'm going to move that off to the side, throw on some gloves, and here we're going to mix up some resin. So for this, I typically would do it in 2 layers. However, because we're just doing all one color, I'm going to do it in 1 layer. And if I remember correctly, I believe it's about 14 ounces to fill up this mold. It has been a minute. So I like to use these cups and I reuse them. I leave the stick in there to dry and then I use it to pull out any leftover resin. Usually I can get it in 1 piece, but on a live video it never works out. So then I just go in here and I just pull it out. So it's just going to be a little ornery and come out in a few pieces. It also depends on how long you leave it in there. There we go. But it should come really cleanly out and then you basically have a brand new mixing bowl. And then I reuse these sticks over and over as well until basically they're not any good anymore. No, I didn't mix anything with the powder. And my website is mixedmediagirl.com. So I'm going to take some scissors and I just cut off the excess here. Whoop. And sometimes it goes flying. There we go. Now it is ready to use. And as you can see, I use both sides. I make as much use of these sticks and mixing containers as I can. And don't forget to use the code CLOSEOUT for 15% off site-wide. Applies to everything. All right. So I'm going to mix up 14 ounces for this and a little bit extra for the next one. So that one I'm going to mix up 8 ounces for, which will be 22 ounces. And it's hard to mix 22 because there's not an 11 mark. So we're just going to go with 24. Might as well. Now this is the part A. It's the thicker of the two. This is the part B. I always put in part B first, and that's going to get a better mix. And also, when pouring into a mold like this, I preheat it. So I will set it in front of a space heater for about 10 minutes or even out in the sun. Now, if you're going to set it out in the sun, only set out your part A, not your part B. The part A is the part with the UV protection. Part B does not have UV protection until it's mixed with that part A. So it will yellow if you set it in the sun. So only set the part A out there. And because it's like 90 something degrees today, that is how I preheated my resin. I didn't want a heater on in my room in this weather. So 12 ounces of part B, and then we'll do 12 ounces of part A. And these cups make it very easy to get exact measurements. And now we want to stir for about 3 to 4 minutes, or even a little bit longer. 5 minutes is fine. One really important thing is as you are stirring, make sure that you scrape the sides of the container and the bottom of it repeatedly. It's very important to make sure you get it fully mixed in. You could sit here and stir this for 5 minutes and still not fully mix in your resin because it's stuck to the sides of your container. Hey, Paulette. So repeatedly scrape sides, scrape bottom. Scrape sides, scrape bottom. I'm going to pull this a little closer to myself because otherwise my arms are going to get tired. But now is a fantastic time for questions. If anyone has any, let me know. And there's not really a way to tell visually when it's fully mixed. But you can absolutely tell visually if it's not fully mixed because it looks like there's like lines, like silvery kind of lines in there, almost like spider webs. You should see no separation whatsoever of the parts. It should look just clear, like one big clear mixture. It takes about, well, how long does it take to set? It depends on the temperature and the resin. For this resin, it usually sets within about 8 hours or so. But to cure to the point where you could demold it is around 24 hours. And then to cure to the point where you're actually using it is about 7 days. So there's some different times there. But like for it to kind of set up to the point where it's really not going to move anymore, typically happens within about 8 hours. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, again, depending on the temperature. And there are other resins, by the way, guys, that have a much faster cure time. There are some that are fully cured within about 3 hours. So please make sure you study up on the resin that you're using because they're all different. They also all have different work times. This resin has a work time of around 45 minutes to an hour, again, depending on temperature. But other resins have work times of about 15 minutes. Some have 30-minute work times, etc. So I don't want you ever thinking you've got 45 minutes with your resin and then it ends up curing in 15 minutes or something like that. All right, scrape the sides, scrape the bottom, and we're just about mixed up here. Now for this one I want black, but for this other one I want clear. So I'm not going to put black in all of this. I also don't generally like to put black dye into a mixing container like this that I'm going to reuse. I like to put it in a smaller cup. So I'm going to put it in this cup. And we're going to put 14 ounces. Uh-oh. A little dried piece of resin came off the top of the container. No biggie. Easy to get out. I'm going to do actually 13 ounces just in case my memory is off. All right, set that to the side. Now realize you're on the clock with this, so you have to kind of use that quickly. You can't just leave that sitting there for a long time. And then we're going to add the black resin into here. So I'm using Alumilite black resin dye, and I'm just going to put about, I think that's maybe about 4 drops. This stuff is really, really concentrated. And then we'll get that completely stirred in. And guys, please do me a favor. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And also, this is your time with me. Feel free to ask any and all questions, okay? All right. There we go. That's pretty well mixed in. Let me center this again. A little more towards me. A little more towards that way. No, I think it's the wrong. Oh, no, that was right. Okay. That's pretty centered. Let me just check on the other side as well. Sometimes it looks different in my screen. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, and one other thing, because it has all these tiny little dots, I like to pre-spray it with 91% isopropyl alcohol, and that is going to really help with the air bubbles. Don't worry about the powder, it's not going to affect it, it'll be fine. And it seems like I sprayed it a lot, but it's really just because this bottle's almost empty. So I really didn't spray it that much. And then here we go. Start out with a little bit in each one, and then we'll come back and fill it in more. Don't try to fill them in each individually one at a time. You'll be there forever. Plus, this way, if you for some reason didn't mix up enough resin, it's not going to really matter. As long as they're evenly filled, you're fine. Okay, so now that we've got them all pretty well filled, we're going to go back and do a little bit more. Again, just gradually. This takes some patience and some practice. And try really hard not to overfill any. It's better to be underfilled than overfilled. Okay. Hey, Jennifer. All right, so now I'm going to go a little more specifically. And it can be also a little hard to tell when you're using black, right, really any resin, I guess, any color. I'm going much slower and just filling them all pretty much to the top, just underneath. Some definitely need more. So hold any questions at this moment because I'm not able to look at this and the computer at the same time. I'll mess these up. Okay, I think we're pretty good. And you know what? I was right. I kind of thought afterwards, I was like, ooh, maybe it is not 14 ounces. And I still have a little over 2 ounces left. So I think it was actually 10 ounces. Whoops. Suzanne, these are from Amazon. Also, they're 16-ounce mixing cups. So great when you need to do a project that you need a little bit over 8 ounces, but you don't want to use this whole big cup. So now I'm going to spritz this with alcohol. And because, like I said, this bottle's almost empty, I'm going to get a new bottle so that I don't have to do that so much. And then when the bubbles settle, I can kind of see a little bit more. And I can also take a stick and kind of use that to more spot correct, which can sometimes be easier than pouring it directly from the cup. So I'm doing this to just add mere drops to some of them. Okay. Again, this is the part that kind of takes some patience and maybe some practice. If you try to quickie it, you'll just end up with a bunch of uneven and overfilled dominoes, and it won't be great. All right, almost satisfied with this. Okay, I think that's good. So again, I'm going to spritz it one more time. And then I'm going to put it off to the side. And that's it for that one. You may want to check on it again in about 10 minutes or so to see if any more air bubbles have popped up, but otherwise you're done. All right, and then we'll save that black resin for something else. I don't know. Whoops. All right, so again, I'm going to pre-spritz this with the alcohol to help with the air bubbles. And now we're going to pour this in halfway. And that's because we're going to do a design. And on the front here, it'll be nice and colorful. On the back, which will be the second layer after this first one cures, we'll do a solid color so that you can't tell which is which. So again, only filling these up about halfway. So realistically, maybe about 6 ounces of resin. And I apologize, I should have checked my measurements beforehand, realistically. Would have been a smart idea. Hey Rhonda, I overfilled this. So I'm gonna just push it over into another one. So if there's any that you overfill, just shove it over into the one next to it. Or one down the street. And there's a little tiny piece of dried resin in here that I missed earlier. Normally my molds are not so messy. Okay, I think that's pretty good. They look pretty even and they're about halfway full. So now let's get on with the colors. All right, I'm gonna use black, purple, blue, a tiny bit of yellow, and some whites. This ought to be interesting. Let me grab the white. Where did I put it? Please hold. Oh, there it is. So all the colors I'm going to use are Ranger. Actually, you know what? I'm leaving the black out. Never mind. I'm changing my mind. Oh. Maybe green instead. Go maybe a little bit mermaidy. I feel like I do that pretty often. Maybe we'll just go rainbow. You know what? We're going to go rainbow. Okay. So these are small. You really do not need a lot. Let's start off with like 1 drop of each color. So all of the colors are Ranger. The white is Pinata. And these dominoes are not in order, just in case anyone doesn't know that. So all right, there we have yellow. Next we'll go with some green right next to that, maybe even overlapping a little. Again, gonna do a drop. Try not to overlap too much, like that's overlapped a little too much. Whoops. And you can always come back and add more. You can't really take it out. So just go slow. And also have fun. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't care. Okay, got our green in there. I need some more yellow in that one, but that's okay. Next we'll do blue. Again, I'm gonna go right next to that. Awesome. Now purple. And then we'll end off with red, and then we'll add a little bit more of whatever colors we feel like. So if anyone has any input, definitely let me know, like add a little more of this or that, but obviously after I do the red. Because, you know, it's a live video, so it's kind of a group project. Okay. And I guess I should have been saying the names of the colors as I went. So this one's crimson. And I'll go back and tell you guys the names of the other colors. You could put red on both sides, I guess, because it'll go well next to the yellow also. And there's no rules with the order that you got to put this in. So there's definitely one over here that I want to add some yellow to. Actually, a couple. And the yellow is dandelion. Now because the yellow and the blue make green, I don't really feel the need to add any more green, which the green is mojito, by the way. But I'm going to add a little bit more blue, which is aquamarine. I feel like on some of these I should have done the yellow a little bit more towards the edge, but oh well. Hey Terry. Welcome. All right. I want to put a little more yellow in a couple of these. There's some that the yellow just kind of got swallowed up on. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And now we end off with some white. Yeah, I was kind of thinking more red also. Let's do some white and then we can also do more red after that. The white will brighten this up and make the colors pop a little bit more. So I like to kind of hold the white a little bit higher. And I'm doing 2 to 3 drops. I was attempting to do 2, but sometimes it just comes out a little fast. That's okay. And I'm trying to do it over the color specifically and not on any spots that have clear, but you know, it goes where it goes. Yeah, definitely white. Do the colors affect the curing time? No. Although if you overdo it with the alcohol ink, you will have curing issues. So I'm going to fill in some of the empty spots with red, not really paying too much attention to where it goes, just again filling in some empty spots. And I think I'm gonna go in with a little more blue because the blue with the red will make purple anyways. So we could really just get away with using red, blue, and yellow, and that would be fine on these, but whatever. And the goal is not to fill them in completely, just FYI. In case anyone's wondering, it's gonna have some clear spots on the edges, and that's okay. All right, I'm gonna do just a smidge more white, and then that's it. I was thinking about swirling, but I feel like that's gonna mix the colors just a little too much. So I think I might leave it as is. And this white is heavy, guys, so do not worry if it looks like it's disappeared. It's meant to sink. That's kind of why we put the colors on first, and then the white sinks through it, and that pushes some of that color down and makes these really cool effects, okay? All right, so I think we're gonna leave it at that. Now I do like to let it sit for a bit, and then I'll spray it with the alcohol. If you spray it right now, it'll kind of push the inks around a little too much, so I don't want to do that, so I'm going to just move that to the side. And now we've got to use this resin pretty quickly. Okay, so we are going to do a set of coasters, the rose coasters with white, because it's something I haven't tried yet. Oops, sorry. And then I'll have to use up the rest of the resin. I want to get this black out of the cup real quick, so I'm going to actually do probably a black and white bowl. Let's just do that real quick. I'm going to spritz this with some alcohol to help with the air bubbles. And then let's pour the black in. Because we don't want to waste that. Alright. Set that guy to the side, and then I've got to go really, really quickly here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You know it's a live video. Alright. So again, hoity-toity, putting some in this cup. Gonna go really quickly. I'm not gonna worry about putting it on specific spots. I'm just gonna kind of put it all over. I am gonna start with the raised part though, as per usual. And then I'll kind of just get it in there. Good. Number one done. And again, guys, you can use the code CLOSEOUT on my website for 15% off site-wide. And I don't have an expiration date for that yet. It's going to kind of expire as soon as we're basically sold out of pretty much our current inventory. Okay. And don't worry, that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. There's some exciting stuff coming. So, there we go. I love that too. All right, now we're going to mix up our white. So I'm going to take this cup here. Pour it in there. And I think we have a perfect amount for these coasters. I put some hoity-toity chameleon powder from Fluid Art Co. And I just brush that on with a brush. It's gorgeous. And then we're going to mix this with some white resin dye and pour that in there because it's the one I haven't done yet. All right, so again, I'm using Alumilite white. Where are you? going to use a few drops. It's pretty concentrated. I'm at the end of this bottle, so. Let's get this mixed in quickly but fully. You can always tell when the resin's starting to cure because it will start to warm up, and it is starting to get a little bit warm here, so that's, thank you, Jody. That's when you know we gotta go fast. All right. Here we go. Actually, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna pre-spray these with 91% isopropyl alcohol. I've been having trouble in the little center spots there with like tiny air bubbles. So that should help with that. And again, don't fill one in all the way and then go to the next one. Do them evenly just in case. There's gonna be times that you did not mix up enough resin and you don't want to end up with one that's completely full and one that's a quarter full. It's better to have them both filled to the same spot, even if you have to fill them more later. Which luckily, it looks like I do have the perfect amount here, actually. So unfortunately, none left for my bowl, but that's okay. Perfect amount for my coasters. I totally get it, Jennifer. Trust me, I understand. Okay, so that's all we need to do on those. I do like to let it sit for a minute and then I'll spritz them again. And Bob's your uncle. So that's it for today, guys. So right after this video, I will post pictures from last week's projects because they are all done. They are gorgeous. They are completed. So I'll post those. And then I'll post these dominoes as soon as I can, and the coasters, okay? I'm kind of running out of time for editing recently, but I'm going as quickly as I can. So there should be a new video tomorrow on YouTube. I'm going to try to get the flower bowl done that I showed last week. It's so pretty. So I just got to finish up that editing, and yeah. All right, any last minute questions before I end off for today? Going once, going twice? Yeah, I'm pretty excited about these too. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that you have a fantastic rest of your week, fantastic night, and I'll see you all next time.